Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live chat and welcome to this week's chat session. I hope you've all had an amazing week and I hope you've all got some really fabulous questions like you always do. So without further ado, as always, I need to go and find you guys in the live chat room. So that means going back onto my YouTube page and trying to find the control room. Okay, so I'm just logging on to the page that I can see. So the format is exactly the same as in every single week. If you've got a royal related question that you want to ask me, find the chat box and type away. And I endeavour to answer all of your questions. Okay, and I think I have found the chat window. So let's see who is there. Oh, and I hope you all have your cups of English tea. I do have mine as well. Okay, yes, I think we're here. So, Chelsea is here. She says hello. DZN Cats for me. I'm going to call you Cats because that's easier. Says hello, happy Saturday, everyone. So happy to be here. This is my first time joining the live chat, so welcome, Cats. Chelsea says hi, Cats, welcome. Beck saying I can't see you. Oh well, you can see me now. I'm here. N Doris says hello. Kat says hi, Beck. I don't see anyone either. Hopefully you can see me now. I'm here. Please let me know if you can see me. Okay. Some people are saying they still can't see me. Van Argil saying hi, hope all is well. Yes, it is. I hope everything's okay with you too. Beck says don't tell me it's late partying. I hope you can all see me. Aha, so you can all see me. I've just scrolled down. Yes, I hope you've all had a very voluptuous week. Hello, Abby. Hi, Abby. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, which used to be Mac, which is now Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth, says wishes her warmest greetings, or his warmest greetings. Chelsea says hello. Hello to Jason Lewis Young. Oh, but you're working, so you have to watch it on catch up. Well, I hope you have fun wherever you are working. And of course, if you do miss the chat, you can always catch up on the video that's put out after the live chat. Unfortunately, you can't take part in the chat, but you can catch up. Cian Moon, hello Cian Moon. And Dawn's here for 20 minutes. I did note down, Dawn, I was going to say hello to you because you did leave a message in the comment section saying, could I say hello to you? So I was going to do that. So hello. And Doris says, usual chat box, hide and seek fight. Yes, it always hides from me. It's always elusive. Hello to Steve Lubin. And Katz is in Ontario, Canada. Van Argil says, I have some tea and a scone with you. Well, here is my tea today. And this time it is Twinings Earl Grey. And I will show you the box in a moment. Because this particular tea does have the royal warrant, and of course they only give the royal warrant if it's a product that Her Majesty or a member of the royal family uses. And as we know, Her Majesty loves Earl Grey. I'm hoping that this is the particular blend that she uses. Hi from Fort Lauderdale, and that's from Fort Lord Realtor. Donna Fraser says, what do you think about the Hatsune Miku? Well, what is Hatsune Miku? I do not know. Elaine Bin says, do you know how much the tickets are for Kensington Palace? No, I do not. But if you go to the Palace website, I'm sure they will have all the details. And I could find that out and put that on the Facebook or the Twitter. Elaine can now see me. Okay, Jason says I can maybe stay for 10 minutes. And I hope you don't get... By the way, Jason, what do you do for a job? Let me know. Okay, everyone's wanting to know I hope you all saw the video about where I opened all the jewellery that I'd ordered from the Royal Buckingham Palace website shop. It's actually, all the money goes towards supporting the Royal Collection Trust. And this is a replica of the Queen's flower basket brooch. Now, I did on the video give some details on that. So this is the brooch that the Queen was given in 1948 by her father, George VI, to celebrate the birth of Prince Charles. And it's a really lovely flower basket brooch. Now, if you want to see the real one, with the Queen wearing the real one, I have posted a picture on Twitter. And you can see the comparison between my version and the real version. And I have to say, there isn't that much difference, apart from the fact that these aren't real gemstones. I'm just hoping you can see. If I get a little bit closer, perhaps you can see. But basically, it's a really good replica. And you can all buy one too if you want to. And they have lots of other different pieces as well. And also it's, you know, it's very royal or aristocratic. By the way, let me know, who is your favourite British aristocrat? I know we now have the new Earl Snowdon, but if you know any other, if you have a favourite aristocrat, let me know. Okay, and Doris doesn't have tea, but she has orange juice. And any hotel recommendations? When I was in London, I stayed right opposite Kensington Palace, in Kensington Palace Gardens, in a hotel called Doubletree. And it's the Doubletree at Kensington Palace Gardens. So if you look for that, that's a really good one. And it was a really affordable price too. And right opposite Kensington Palace. I could almost see William and Catherine from my window. It was that close. Okay, and Elaine says she's going to Fortnum and Mason's next week. Well, perhaps you could tell us all about the tea there. Okay, Tim says, where is Princess Diana's wedding gown on display now? It's now no longer with her brother, the Earl Spencer. It was returned to William and Harry, as per Diana's will, when Harry turned 30. So once both of them had hit 30, so obviously they had to wait for Harry to catch up with William. It was returned to them, and it is no longer on display currently. However, it could be on display at some point. Okay. Elaine says she'll go to the website and look up the prices. And Dawn said she looked up the Canadian maple leaf brooch and it would cost £20 for the shipping. Yes, I wasn't sure how much the shipping would be, but that's not too bad. I mean, it has got to go a fair distance, and the Royal Mail are good providers. So if you would like the Canadian maple leaf brooch, I would highly recommend it, and it is a really good replica. And one thing I didn't notice when I did the opening video, which I'll tell you all about now, it actually has a little loophole on the reverse. So you can actually use it as a pendant as well. So if you've got a pendant chain, you can wear the brooch as a pendant, or you can thread it through to make a choker, or it can be worn in different ways. So I would recommend that brooch. Jason says, I manage a hotel and I have a wedding on this evening. And you're in the office while everyone's working hard. Well, I don't want to stop and ruin their wedding. There's a wedding going on that doesn't have a hotel manager right now. Tim says, I don't have a favourite, I don't think. Well, to be honest, my favourite was the flower basket. And that one did get the most comments in the comment section. And I've just watched an episode of The Crown where the Queen, Claire Foy, was actually wearing the flower brooch. So I think it's rather appropriate that I wear that today. Okay, Tim says he's off work today with his feet up on the table. Tech says the flower basket looks good. It's extremely good likeness of the original. As I say, if you go to the Twitter, I took a picture close up of my version, and there's an official picture of the real version and a picture of the Queen wearing it, and I put them all together, and you can't tell the difference. It is a really good replica. Okay, Kat says, I'm not sure if Sarah Phillips is considered an aristocrat, but I like her. She's not considered an aristocrat, but she is royal. Even though she doesn't have a royal title, she is still royal. Abby says, I was so interested in Harry and William's handprints on Diana's dress. More info, please. Yes, that was amazing. So basically, there is a Kensington Palace display or exhibition to commemorate the 20 years of Princess Diana's death, and it goes all the way through this year, and there's a collection of 20 dresses that have been assembled of Diana, and when they were examining the dress, they found the handprints of small children, which can obviously only be William and Harry. So when they put it under the microscope, you could see these tiny little handprints, and if you go and watch the video, if you haven't seen it already, you can just make out little fingerprints, because obviously velvet, kind of the oils and things on our fingers stay on the velvet. So for 30 years, those fingerprints has been preserved on the fabric of this velvet dress. So I found that really interesting, and I hope you do too. Max says, I'm not feeling good. I've taken ill in the last hour. Oh no, I hope you feel better soon and it's not too serious. Elaine says, my favourite is Princess Anne. I didn't used to care for her, but I've grown to admire her now. She's the hardest working royal. So I have nothing but admiration for Princess Anne. And she's very quiet and low-key, and she just gets on with it. She has lots of personality of her father, the Duke of Edinburgh. Lots of those same qualities. N. Doris says, I also like Princess Anne. Sorry if I'm missing some of your chat comments, because this is a really busy chat tonight. So the screen is moving really quick. So if I've missed your comment and you really want me to answer it, type it again, and I'll hopefully get there. Okay, Steve says, what did you think of The Crown? Yes, I've watched it. I watched the first episode about half an hour ago, and I have to say, I'm hooked. It was amazing. I thought everything was very accurate. The jewellery in there was accurate. I saw the flower brooch, which was given to the Queen by her father, and of course she would have been wearing it around about that period. So they've even picked up on when to include the jewellery. The tiaras were really good replicas. I liked the costumes, and of course it was a bloodfest, and I wasn't expecting to cry, but I blubbed almost the whole way through. I don't know what it was. I found it very rousing. My first blub moment was when Winston Churchill arrived at the wedding and I Vow to Thee, My Country was played. Blub. I literally blubbed. And I didn't stop blubbing all the way through. So if something is good enough to make me cry and get me feel roused and patriotic, then it's good. So I am hooked, and I will be watching them from now on. So I've seen episode 1. I really do like it, and I recommend it. I'm probably one of the last people to see it, but I really enjoyed it. Tell me what you thought about episode 1. Max says, I don't like the flower one. My favourite is the Queen Mother Aquamarine brooch. I love that one, but they don't do a replica in it. But I really hope they do. I'm really looking for some Princess Diana jewellery or some sapphire jewellery. So when I find some, when I track some down, I will be buying some of those. And Fort Lauderdale has started watching The Crown too, so we're up to the same because he's seen season 1 too. And Majesty the Queen says, call me Jamie. I will call you Jamie. And Doris says, I don't know if I like any aristocrats. I don't know. How do you tell an aristocrat from a royal? An aristocrat is someone who was born into a title, but they don't have a royal title, so they're not a HRH. So, for example, a royal duke is a duke like the Duke of Cambridge, who is His Royal Highness the Duke of Cambridge. If he wasn't royal and he didn't have the HRH, he would be a regular aristocrat, because he wouldn't have the royal title. So, for example, the Earl of Snowdon is an aristocrat, whereas the Earl of Wessex isn't. He's a royal earl, if that makes sense. Loretta says, I understand how Sarah can use her middle name, but the name York is part of a title. What are people in the UK saying about the Duchess being called Margaret York? Right, this story, I did do a video. Sarah, the Duchess of York, Prince Andrew's ex-wife, is calling herself Margaret York, and Margaret is her middle name. And she's calling herself that to conduct business, to go probably slip a little bit under the radar. So basically, she's using Margaret York as her official work name. Now, members of the royal family don't necessarily have a surname. Some descendants of the Queen are now using Mountbatten Windsor, but where they have a title, for example, the Duke of York, they often use York as a surname. And because Sarah is divorced, she uses the style and title Sarah, Duchess of York, pretty much as a surname. So she doesn't use Mountbatten Windsor, or she hasn't reverted to Ferguson. She pretty much uses York as her surname. So I hope that helps. Dawn says she's seen The Crown 3 times now, but you're hooked on Victoria. Well, speaking of Victoria, I do have something to show you on that later. I have a book that's a companion book to the TV series, and I'm not sure whether you can get that wherever you are, but I found mine on Amazon. Jason says, any news on Harry's engagement? When you saw on a magazine cover that the engagement is imminent in the summer or spring. Basically, no one knows. It will happen. The announcement will happen when they decide it will happen. And of course, there was big speculation about Princess Eugenie and announcing her engagement. That never happened. And probably the more media attention that is surrounding it, the later it will be postponed. So I'm not sure entirely that it will be announced imminently, but I do think the relationship is very serious and very strong. So watch this space, but they will decide and they will set the tone about when that's going to be announced. So I wouldn't trust that magazine. It probably hasn't got inside information. It's probably just fake news. Jason says he's glad I'm watching The Crown. I am too. It is really good. I'm really enjoying it. Abby says, do you prefer voiceover videos or no speaking and just the music videos? I prefer creating the speaking ones because you get the information. But sometimes the music ones are more appropriate if there isn't that much information. If it's a tribute video or if it's just a really small event where there isn't really much to say, then a music video is probably more appropriate. But where there's a lot of information to give, I prefer the speaking ones. And of course, it takes more writing and creating to do the speaking one. So I enjoy that because there's more involvement with it. But different sorts of videos work for the different type of content. And I'm learning with the longer I spend doing the channel, which style to use depending on the story or the event or how much content there is to say. So I hope that answers your question, Abby. Okay, Jason says, Elliot, the Queen's favourite tea is Smoker Earl Grey. So I haven't got the smoke one. This is one that I'm using. I hope you can see the box. I'll put it close so you can see. It's Twinings Earl Grey, and it does have the royal warrant on it. I'm hoping you can see that. So no, this isn't smoked, and I didn't look for a smoked one, in the shop, but I will be looking for a smoked one now. Or I will be going on to maybe Fortnum and Mason's website and having a look for that. The one I use in the mornings is the English breakfast tea. So the Earl Grey one, perhaps for evenings, and this one is a really good breakfast tea. I do have loose tea as well, but for quickness and easiness, a tea bag is fine. Jason's pizza is just done. Go and enjoy your pizza. Elaine says, I'm so proud of our royal family. Me too. And I think the fact that I got so roused that I blubbed during the crown shows how much I'm proud of them too. Did anyone else cry during the crown, or is it just me? Let me know. FT, what is your actual name? I can't keep calling you FT. Let me know. But you say Royal Aristocrat dogs I love. Yes. So you could probably say the Queen's dogs are royal, but an aristocratic dogs are good too. Probably whippets or some kind of hound that does hunting. Would they probably use for aristocratic dogs? Abby says, when are you going to do a video on trying on the royal masks? YouTube's been playing up. Sorry, I have already posted it. Yes, I do have the royal masks, and I did show the royal masks on a previous live chat. And I did wear, was it the Queen one? I think I'm sure it was the Queen I wore. But I do intend to do a separate video on the royal masks. These are like party masks, and I was gifted them by a friend for Christmas. And they are really good party masks, and I would like to film them probably being used with a group of people. So Abby, if you know anyone, if you know a family that could possibly wear the masks and I could film it, then let me know. Let me know who. N. Doris says, thanks for the explanation. Pizza, oh my god, who are you? What type of pizza is it, Jamie? Let me know. And Jamie says, who uses Mountbatten Windsor? The direct descendants of Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh can use Mountbatten Windsor. So Lady Louise, Prince Edward's daughter, her surname is Mountbatten Windsor. Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor. Now technically she could be a princess. She is entitled to be a princess, but Edward preferred her to be styled the title of an earl instead, because he is obviously the Earl of Wessex. So she is known as the Royal, not the Royal Highness, the Lady Louise Windsor. Oh, actually, I think she does have HRH. Her Royal Highness Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor. So all the direct descendants that don't have, for example, a dukedom or a title of their own can use Mountbatten Windsor. Kat says, so that means that Diana's brother is an aristocrat. Yes, he is an aristocrat. Nancy says, any news on Prince Harry and his new lady? No, they've been very quiet, but I assume that she's still in the country, staying with him at his Kensington Palace cottage called Nottingham Cottage, which is a very small, rather pokey cottage. Prince William and Harry have both said that they had to stoop in certain places to get under the beams or the uneven ceilings. So hopefully he'll be getting somewhere bigger soon, but there is nowhere available at Kensington Palace that's bigger at the moment. So he will have to wait for someone to vacate. Jamie says, I've heard enough about Harry. Yes, the media is tending to focus rather a lot on Harry and his relationship. Elaine says, my daughter is an infant teacher and sent William and Kate the congratulations on their baby, and they replied. Yes, if you write to them, they do respond. As I demonstrated when I sent all of my Christmas wishes, I got a reply from every single royal, and I still intend to send a new batch off very soon. Okay, let's talk about the royal dogs. Can I see them in March at Kensington? I'm not entirely sure that you will see royal dogs. You may see some dogs. You may see other people's dogs, because at Kensington Palace Gardens, people do walk their dogs. I don't know whether that makes them necessarily royal dogs, but I don't think you'll see Lupo. Lupo being William and Catherine's dog. Lupo will probably be at Anma, or maybe even at their sort of private walled garden. Maybe if you stand by the private walled garden and hear barking, you could hear a royal dog. Jamie says, I've already watched The Crown 2 times and I'm watching it again with you. So did anyone else blub during it? Let me know. Did anyone else cry? I did. And I couldn't stop. Elaine says, Harry will be as happy and lucky as William with his partner, whoever that may be. I do think Meghan might be the one. Oh, one interesting thing. Did we all know that Meghan's actual name is Rachel? Meghan is only her middle name. And I was musing about whether, if they did marry, would she revert back to Rachel to sort of separate between her former life and her new life? Would she be called Rachel? Would she style herself with her proper first name? We're not sure. Jamie says, when will the book club be starting? I still don't have my copy. Amazon are still out and they haven't sent me it. So I'm still waiting. But if we're waiting too long, I may just have to buy it on my e-reader, and we can do it that way. Dawn Moore is leaving the chat because she has to go. So watch the chat on catch up, and good night to Dawn. Jason says, I've been caught, I better go. Hopefully see you next week. So Jason has been caught at work watching me. Oh no. But at least they have their hotel manager back. So go and enjoy the wedding, Jason, and have some cake. Take a picture of the cake. I want to see the wedding cake. So if you go to my Twitter after Jason takes the picture, I will retweet it and you can all see the wedding cake. Try and get a sneaky picture. Okay, I'm getting my Jasons and Jamies mixed up. Queen Elizabeth II is Jamie, not Jason. So Jason, please take a picture of the cake. And Doris says, bye, Dawn. Jamie says, he thinks it's just me that cried. Oh no, Elaine cried. Okay, so there you go. Banal said, this is completely off topic. I was looking at photos of a very young lady Chateau, that's Sarah Chateau, a few days ago and noticed how much she looks like the Queen when she was young, as well as Princess Charlotte. Sarah is very slender and slim, so I think she does look like the Queen. I think as the Queen's got older, she's filled out, as people do in life. But yes, she does look rather like the Queen. She has that shaped face, and I think the eyes, I think it's the eyes that have it. But really good observation. Well done. Tech says, I definitely shed a few tears. So there you go. That's 2 other people that have cried. And Kat says, I haven't had a chance to see it, but I hope to soon. I highly recommend. Elaine says, sad that the Queen is not relaxing her dogs as they pass, but typical of the Queen. She did well. She's apparently acquired a few more dogs because one of her servants' dogs passed. One of the servants passed away, leaving dogs that were bred from some of her dogs. So she's decided to take them in. So her dog population has sort of had a little bit of a spurt, but I don't think she'll be replacing any more. Abby says, I think my mum would be fab. That video would be so good. I think she'd be good too. Okay, some people lost the sound, but the sound is now back. Elaine says, she said nobody will want the dogs and corgis when I pass. Thinking of others as usual. There was also the concern that because they obviously walk around her feet, she might trip. But yes, I mean, obviously she's worried about who will look after the dogs whenever she passes. But we think that if she remains in good health, she has at least another good 10 years of life left. Abby says she's going now, so bye everyone, and you'll watch the rest on catch up. See you next week. Goodbye, Abby, and have a good evening, and good evening to your family too. Tim says, so if the Queen does not approve of Meghan, what happens? Well, Harry, because he's is he fifth in line to the throne? I think he's fifth. He does have to ask permission of the Queen before he marries. But the Queen never really refuses any of her relatives a marriage. It's just a formality. But I think there's no reason to indicate that she doesn't approve. And if anyone's reporting that she does, then I would love to know what their source is, because I think that's just fake news. And I think any member of the royal family is happy as long as Harry's happy, and he clearly is happy. Okay. Jamie says pizza is my pizza. It's pepperoni. It's the first you've eaten all day. And yes, I am behind Jamie, because as soon as I found the live chat, there was lots of comments already. So I am a little bit behind on the comments, and we seem to have lots of posters as well, which is really good. I'm really happy that loads of people are joining in the live chat, but it is taking me a little bit longer to work through all the questions. And some have had to skip as well, so sorry if I have skipped your question. And another question says, do they order pizza to the palaces? I think Diana did once. I'm sure I remember somewhere that Diana did order pizza in, and I'm sure the young princes and Catherine have too. There's no reason why they can't have pizza. Letter says, did you tell us you were about 200 miles outside London? I don't think it's 200. I'm not sure I said 200. If you can think of England, and you can think of London towards the bottom of the country, I'm kind of towards the middle, but a bit more towards the left in Shropshire, which the last time I went, I think it took me about 4 hours to get there. So I'm about 4 hours away, 4 hours travel. Okay. N. Doris says Rachel and Henry instead of Meghan and Harry. I like that combination. I think that Harry should start using Henry more. I like Henry, and I quite like Rachel. And I think certainly if she wanted to separate herself from her previous life and incarnations going forwards, I think Rachel would be a good choice to adopt as her name. And of course it is her real name anyway, so she wouldn't really be changing anything. Meghan isn't really her first name. Okay, and Lord Realtor says, okay, thanks, a private law garden, I'll look for it at Kensington. You can walk very, very close to it. It's surrounded by bushes, but if you look for the wall, and certainly if you look on an aerial map, you can see the wall garden. And it is a fair size for a garden in London. Okay, and Jamie says, I think that pizza cured my sickness. And some people saying this chat is hysterical. And Doris says, it makes me laugh how they move around the Kensington houses. Kat says, Elliot, I just want to say that you do an excellent job on all your videos, and this chat's so informative. I first became interested in the royal family when you were 16, when Diana and Charles were married. I've been interested all my life, and I can never remember a time when someone in my family weren't talking about the royals. So please let me know in the comment section, especially if you're watching this on catch up, how you first got interested in the royals. I really would like to hear. Nancy says, if Meghan and Harry marry, what would Meghan's title be? And I can't remember where I spoke about this before, but I was considering what it would be. Now, if I think I did make a video on it about Catherine's royal title, and I did talk about what Meghan might be. So basically, Harry's official formal title is His Royal Highness the Prince Henry. Now, he used to be Henry of Wales. Now, in adulthood, if you have a title, you usually drop your of whatever bit of your title. So because Harry doesn't have a title, he's still His Royal Highness the Prince Henry of Wales. If he was given a title like William, which is customary, a royal dukedom, just a few hours before the actual marriage, let's just say Sussex. So let's just say he was given the title His Royal Highness the Duke of Sussex, then Meghan would be the Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. If he wasn't given a dukedom, he would still be His Royal Highness the Prince Henry of Wales. So Meghan would be Her Royal Highness the Prince Henry, the Princess Henry of Wales. So she takes on his title, very much in the same way that the Royal Highness the Princess Michael of Kent does for her husband. So it depends what he's given upon marriage, but I hope that helps. It's a little bit complicated. Okay, Elaine says, I knew about her taking the dogs in, but again, it's just typical of the Queen. Yes, she's very generous, and of course she couldn't see the descendants of her other dogs being mistreated or not have a home. Kat says that I then found out that Princess Diana and my own grandmother shared the same names, Diana Frances. Wow, that is awesome. Elaine says they are being sensible and cut down some of their work commitments. Yes, and you've seen recently some patronages being passed over. I think the Queen gave over 20 or 25 shortly before Christmas, and those are now being announced about who got what. Okay, Jason says, I've quickly logged back in because I wanted to tell you I bought a copy of Keeping Up Appearances book of Etiquette. It's fabulous. It is. It's a really good read. And Jason, in case you missed my request, please get a picture for all of us of the cake. I really want to see the cake. Oh, you've tweeted me the cake. Okay, so I will retweet that. So if you find me on Twitter, royal_reviewer, I will retweet the cake. So thank you for that. And yes, the book is fabulous. Okay, Steve says there are 30 people on here tonight, which is double what it was when I first started watching. Well done. Yes, I'm really struggling to keep up, but it's amazing. Keep the comments coming. Even though I'm struggling and cutting some of the comments short, I really enjoy them. Tim is enjoying the chat, and he wants to ask, does everyone think, as I do, Her Majesty will live a good more 10 years? Yes, I think so. I think she'll live as long as her mother. Well, I hope so anyway. Elaine says, I love Shropshire, well, all of the UK really. I'm 59 and still discovering beautiful, beautiful villages. Shropshire is a very beautiful part of our countryside, and the scenery is stunning. It really is. If you've not been, do come up. How long is this chat for? It's as long as it goes on for. Usually I stay on for as long as the questions keep coming. But if you do miss any, you can obviously watch on catch up. Jason says he's tweeted me the cake, and Jamie says I can't find this out anywhere, but can you use coins from the 1960s in the UK today? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. If it's if it's one that's changed shape or something, then definitely not. But you could try. It would be interesting to do an experiment. I think those coins are probably more collectors now, but you could always take them to the bank and see if they would exchange them. Okay, Elaine says, I became interested when my mother told me about Margaret not marrying her true love. Yes, Group Captain Peter Townsend, a very interesting chapter in her life. And Jamie became interested when the Queen visited Ireland. Okay, I'm nearly catching up with all these comments now. Nancy says, when the Queen confirms a dukedom, is it simply a title or does it come with property? Now, this is where the difference between the aristocrats and perhaps the royal titles come in, because a true aristocratic title is probably one that's been passed down hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and they often come with land, which then that duke or earl or baron has to manage. And they usually do that by opening up the big house or organising things that go, activities that go on their land, like concerts or shows or garden tours, to make money to keep it going. Usually royals don't come with land or property. The Prince of Wales is different because the Duchy of Cornwall is land, but that's sort of different. William and Harry, well, William wasn't given land. The Earl of Wessex wasn't given land. So that's, I suppose, is the nuts and bolts of what's different between an aristocratic title and a royal one. So, for example, if the Queen was to create a new dukedom for me, I could be the Duke of Shropshire. It probably wouldn't come with land because she wouldn't have the land to give, if that makes sense. Happy Movie says, I live in Los Angeles, California. We have Chatsworth in the valley near Devonshire. I wonder if LA is Anglais, England instead of Angel. There is Valencia, Venice, Olympia. I suppose there are little replicas of the UK all over the place. I was watching someone else's vlog and they've got a UK, was it Disney World or Epcot or somewhere like that? And it did look really good. Rather twee. I think people in different countries have a rather twee version of us. But there we go. Okay, Beck has seen the cake. I haven't seen it yet. In fact, I forgot to bring my phone into the room, so I can't check until later. Elaine says she welcomed Wallace and visited Ireland. An amazing woman. Yes, she did. Jason says, I love Shropshire. My nan used to live in Iron Bridge. That's very close to me, Jason. I'm probably 10 minutes away from Iron Bridge. So you probably know the part of Shropshire that I'm from rather well. N. Doris says, I knew about the British monarchy when Diana and Charles married. And you're really, when you saw how cute and handsome Prince William was. Yes, he's grown to be a very handsome young man, and so has Harry. Okay, Jamie says, Elliot, a really fun things I like to do is look around in charity shops. I found a Wedgwood Jasper vase for £10. Wow. Again, that is really good. Bargain sales and car boot sales, as we call them. I think in different countries they're called yard sales. You can pick up some really interesting trinkets. So I'm really happy that you found one. Maybe you could tweet me a picture of that. Elaine says, I'll say goodnight now, having hot chocolate and marshmallows. Wow. I've actually bought some cream and a cheesecake for later. And of course, because it's nearly coming up to Shrove Tuesday, I've got some pancakes as well. So I might have a little pig out later. I may even watch another episode of The Crown. I did really enjoy it that much. Vanal says, do you happen to know if royal brides or brides marrying into the royal family are required to wear wedding gowns with specific style details? No, they can wear whatever they want. Princess Diana, with her wedding dress, with her Emmanuel creation, wanted different elements of all different previous royal wedding dresses, and the result was the big fairy tale dress. Catherine wanted a more simpler, sort of streamlined dress, and she got her wish. So anyone can choose whatever style of dress they want. Camilla, when she got married to Charles, she wore a sort of like a dress coat dress, which I thought was lovely, and it had the train on it. So anyone can have whatever they want. Jamie says, what are you talking about? You already are the Duke of Shropshire, with 10 square feet of land, my kitchen. Welcome to my kingdom, and all the place are there. Rana has joined us. Hello, Rana. And Jason Lewis Young says, Brosley, that's the other side of the river in Ivory. So I'm on the Telford side of the river. Rana says, good, glad to all. And Victoria says, hello, my name is Victoria. Hello, Victoria. Kat says, sorry, Elliot, what is this Tuesday? This morning for us is a holiday family day. Let me see. I'm not actually exactly sure when Shrove Tuesday is. Is it this Tuesday coming up, or is it the following one? It does tend to move around a bit. But pancakes were in the shop, so I have pancakes. Jamie says, one of my favourite Queen moments is when she walks around the Royal Windsor Horse Show in her wellies and drives her Range Rover. I did make some videos a while ago when she was driving her Range Rover. So if you want to watch those, she usually drives wearing a headscarf, and she does look rather good wearing her wellies. She does look quite cute in her wellies and her outdoor clothes with a headscarf on. And she never wears a helmet when she's on horseback. She always only wears a headscarf. Just thought I'd tell you that little interesting point. And I've not had time to look at my notes, literally, the whole time. And I think we've covered so much, to be quite honest. Oh, did you see the video looking inside Sarah, Duchess of York, and Prince Andrew's Swiss ski chalet? I thought they were really interesting. I love interior pictures. So if you've not checked out that video, go and have a look. Jamie says, has the Queen ever had any Marilyn Monroe moments? If you mean, has the wind ever gusted up her skirts and she's had to try and keep them down? No. The Queen is clever and smart. She has her hems weighted. She has tiny little weights sewn into the hem, so she will never ever have a Marilyn Monroe moment unless she's caught up in a hurricane or something. Victoria says, please someone tell me how to get out of stop the royal reviewer on my crippled phone. I'm not quite sure what that means. If you don't want to watch, just turn me off. That's all you have to do. Steve says, Shrove Tuesday is the 28th of February. Okay, so we have 10 days. So should we do a pancake challenge? How many pancakes can you eat between now and actual Shrove Tuesday? I'm going to try for a big number. Beck says, turn your phone off, then on again. Kat says, there are amazing videos on YouTube from the palace. Shows them getting ready for state dinners. Yes, I love to see the inner workings of things. So some of the documentaries I have on DVD show, for example, how they prepare things in the kitchen, ready for state banquets. And I have a companion book which shows what the staff do. And I'm really interested in what the staff in royal palaces get up to and what they do and their lives. I love the below stairs life. It's really interesting. And the Queen was advertising for someone this week to look after her Twitter accounts or her social media. I would love a job at the palace. I really would. Jason says, gotta go, he's been busted again. Why can't people leave me alone? You have a job to do. You have a wedding. I bet the bride is stressing. She needs a hotel manager. Jamie says, put your phone in the microwave for a few minutes. Jennifer says, I saw the Ladies of London for the first time and absolutely loved it. Not really for the drama, but for those beautiful places that they visit. Jamie says, I saw a video of the Queen opening the Sydney Opera House and she nearly blew away with the wind. That must have been a particularly big gust, but her weights do work on almost all occasions. Steve says, I don't like pancakes. Well, how about cheesecake? You could do the cheesecake challenge. Nicole says, hello, Elliot. Who is in Princess Diana's Kensington Palace apartment? Well, when she moved in, it was actually 2 apartments joined together. And it formed a rather large home. After she died, the apartments were cleared and were returned to 2 separate units. So they're now actually 2 separate buildings. When William and Harry set up their homes at Kensington Palace, and they had their own household and their own sort of team of people, of workers. Those apartments are now used for offices and a place where they can carry out engagements or they can host things. So basically, they are now used as a working part of Kensington Palace. So William and Harry do still go in there, and their staff go in there and use it. I think it was redecorated and stripped back, but basically it's still there, but in 2 separate units. And Doris says, I really like the sound of the Mountbatten name, really kingly. What last name do you like? I like the Mountbatten name too, but I also like Windsor. So Mountbatten Windsor, I think, is perfect. I think it's a good combination. Nancy Wright is off to bed, so good night, Nancy. Chelsea says, I'm having pizza tonight, so I'm just listening. Lots of people having pizza. Maybe we could all have a pizza night one night and have pizza in. It seems rather popular. Jennifer says, it makes me want to hop on a plane to come over there. Please do. Jasmine, is that Pinder? Jasmine Pinder says, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Jasmine. Jamie says, there's a job offer for you to be the Queen's head of communications for about, that was the one I was talking about. It's advertised for £30,000 a year. I would love to do it, but I would probably live a bit too far away. Jamie's saying, Chelsea stealing his idea of eating pizza. I'm sure we can all eat pizza. Beck says, it's 6 AM here, so I'll be having tea. No pizza for me. Where are you from, Beck? Let me know. Now, the thing I was going to show you about Victoria is the Victoria Companion Book. Now, I'm not sure if it's available wherever you are, but I got mine on Amazon. And I'm not even sure what episode you're on, wherever else it's being shown in the world. We've finished all our episodes in the UK, but this book is really good. It's called The Victoria Letters, and it's the official companion to the TV series. I'll just show you just a few things. For example, they have like letters written, and they talk about the script and the different characters, and it's a really good book. So again, it's beautifully illustrated. This one talking about the welfare of my people. And of course, Jenna Coleman, who played Queen Victoria, was really good. And of course, it has some of the downstairs roles that are discussed. So it's really interesting. And of course, it goes through the TV series. There's also a chapter on behind the scenes. So if you're a little bit nosy like me, or inquisitive, shall I say, and you want to know about how they made it, this tells you and shows you some of the behind the scenes things. And of course, we know that a new series has been commissioned, so I hope that in probably the autumn or fall, they will be airing the new series. Jasmine says, there is something I need to ask you about writing to the Queen. Please ask. That's what I'm here for. Oh, Becky's in Perth, Australia. And there was an Australian themed brooch that I wanted to buy too. Just quickly going back to brooches. It was the Australian wattle brooch that was given to the Queen by Australia. And they have a replica of that too. So that's my next one that I want to buy, is the Australian wattle brooch. Jamie says, where are the Queen's personal jewels kept? In a vault at Buckingham Palace. And the curator is her dressmaker, Angela Kelly, and she looks after the Queen's jewels. But they are stored in a big vault, obviously, for security reasons. Beck says, I ordered the Queen's diamonds for $102, and it's an amazing. Still waiting for the final curtsey. I'm still waiting too. I think a few people are still waiting, especially if you are in the UK too. There is a shortage because obviously Margaret died. It's just sold out. So I think they're waiting on a reprint and a restock. Jamie says, I wonder if you go to Balmoral at this time, Are there some of her clothes and jewels still there? I think she pretty much takes all of the personal things that she needs on a day-to-day basis back with her. And if the house, on the times of the year when the house is open, I doubt you'll see all of her completely personal possessions. But you'll certainly see the rooms that she uses, although probably not her own private bedroom. One interesting thing I did hear about aristocrats is that true aristocrats don't share beds. They have separate bedrooms, which kind of makes sense, really, because I suppose it is quite nice to have your own bed. But true aristocrats do not share beds. So the Queen and the Duke will have their own separate bedrooms, as they did on the Royal Yacht Britannia. And Beck says, yes, the wattle. I want the wattle, I really do. The only thing that stopped me buying the wattle this time was the cost. If I'd have had all of them, it would add it up and add it up. But that is the next one that I will be ordering. Kat says, thanks for showing the book. I will sure look at getting that. It's a really good companion to the TV show. So if you're really into that, then I do recommend the book. Jasmine said, I did a project with some kids and they made something for the Queen's 90th birthday last year. I've taken pics of the project and want to send them to Buckingham Palace by mail or email. Well, I would recommend putting them all together in some kind of package and posting them to the Queen, because if something is really interesting, and particularly if it's from children, some things are picked out to show the Queen. So it may even get actually seen by the Queen herself. But I would post it and send it by recorded delivery, and of course always include a return address. If they don't know where you are or what your address is, they can't reply. So always remember, put a return address in there. You don't have to put prepaid postage or anything, or supply an envelope. They will do all that, but just make sure that you include your address. But I would certainly send it by post. Jamie got his on eBay and it came 3 days later. I wished I'd noticed at the time that it wasn't available, otherwise I would have done the same. Beck says, we're not that bad, I'm relying on Royal Mail. Well, me too. Well, I'm relying on the book being back in stock. Susan says, hello Susan. And Jasmine's correcting herself, 90th birthday. The Moss Family Adventures says, what up? And what up to the Moss Family Adventures? Susan says, I would love my own bedroom. I'm sure lots of people would. But if you do want your own bedroom, don't feel bad. Aristocratic people do that. They have their own separate bedrooms. So now you can feel better about wanting your own separate bedrooms. Of course, you can, join your partner for a hug every now and again, but don't feel bad about having your own bedrooms. It's aristocratic. And Doris says, I tell you, Kensington Palace has seen so much movings and redecorations. It's really curious. Yes, if only those walls could talk. Jamie says, I would rather have a bed to myself because of flatulence at night time and being kicked in the legs all the time. Well, I would recommend probably avoiding flatulence. Steve hasn't watched Victoria yet. It's really good. I would recommend it. It's not, obviously, it hasn't got the budget that The Crown had, but on the budget that ITV had, it's really good. So do watch it. Kat says, it's not airing in Canada until next month. Jasmine says, thanks, Elliot, I will mail it. The package is a bit large, about 10 pages, but I'll mail it anyway. Yes, I would mail it and see, but I'm sure you will get a reply. Okay. So I've actually covered everything on the list that I had. So please, it's an open forum. Please let me know any questions that you've got, and I will endeavour to answer all of them. I never know what any of the questions are going to be when they come up. So that makes it really exciting, and I love to know what interests you guys. So if I keep getting the same kind of questions, I know that that's the sort of thing that you're interested in. And it does help when I try to make the videos to know what you're interested, what you're into. Because I know what I'm into, but I do like to know what you guys are into. And I get to find that out from the live chat and from when people post comments in the comment section of the videos. And I do always read them. I don't always get a chance to reply to every single one, although I do try. But I do like to read the comments. East Coast Artist says, are you going to see the exhibition of Princess Diana's dresses? I would love to, and I do plan on going to London in the summer. So probably from towards the end of July until the beginning of September, I will be going at some point. So when I do go, I will be going, and hopefully be able to take my own pictures if you're allowed to take pictures in there. Jasmine says, oh, you're in Canada, which is why you were debating mail versus it. I would still mail it. I would still mail it. Susan says, are the royals jockeying for the Queen's retirement? No, the Queen is in command of all of this. She's basically winding back herself, and she's obviously letting the younger royals take up the slack. Which I think is sensible, because she doesn't want to burn out. You know, we want the Queen to be healthy and fit, doing what she can do, not burning herself out. So I'm happy that she is, you know, stepping back a little bit and handing over some duties. Fuzzy Puppet says, St James's Palace doesn't seem to be a popular residence for the royals. Do you know why? It's rather old. I've heard that it's a little bit dingy in places. Eugenie's hoping obviously to move out into Kensington Palace, into Ivy Cottage, although there is a damp problem at the moment. Watch the video for the information on that. But I do think it is a little, it's very sort of Tudorish. It's a very Tudor building, and rather dark, and it probably needs a bit of an update. I think Princess Anne has an apartment there as well, and Beatrice is still there too. Susan says, I am madly in love with the royal family and the royal lifestyle. I think we all are. It really captivates me, and I'm really pleased that it captivates everyone else too. Kat says, Elliot, have you seen a video done with Sarah Ferguson when she goes into neighbourhoods? Yes, that was a programme. Oh, how long ago? It's probably longer than what I remember. Was it 15, possibly even 20 years ago? I don't know. But she did try to go into some council estates in the UK, and she tried to help them with their lives. And I do remember it being really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. But I think it must have been at least 15 years ago, I'm sure. James says, the royal family really want to get in touch with the younger generation. They need to make new things on the Royal Collection shop. There's nothing for people like me. I agree. I think they do need to revamp the merchandise. There are lots of things targeted at people who have already, you know, got a fairly good income. And there are lots of things, sort of little trinkets like pencils and the children with teddy bears and sort of small souvenirs. But there isn't really anything that's going to captivate what I would call the sort of mid-market, sort of teenagers, people in their 20s and possibly their 30s. I mean, not everybody. I mean, I found things that I would like to buy, but I'd like to see more of a clothing range. I mean, you know, sort of Duchess fashion, Prince Harry style, things like that. Or even sort of going back to the, you know, popularity of the Crown, they could produce sort of slightly more modern fashion for young ladies, for young women. I really loved watching the Crown today and seeing the outfits, because I thought that they could really work in today's fashion market. So I think there is a gap. I think you're right. Royal merchandise could be big, but I think they need a few ideas. I would love to do it. I would love to revamp the shop and launch maybe a clothing line. I would love to do that. N. Doris says, where is St James's Palace, London? It's almost right next to Buckingham Palace. It's on the Mall. So if you can sort of picture where Clarence House is, St James's Palace is basically attached to it. So it's right next to where Charles and Camilla live. And there was talk that Charles wanted, when his mother passes away, to make Buckingham Palace open to the public the whole time, turn the Mall into a walkway with no cars, so just pedestrian access, and he wanted to stay at Clarence House and use St James's Palace as the official seat of the monarchy, which of course it is technically. St James's Palace is where the monarchy is technically based. So he wants to go back to that, because of course Buckingham Palace was only used officially from when Victoria turned it into her official royal residence. But St James's Palace is actually the home of the monarchy, and I think Charles wants to go back to that. So we'll have to wait and see what happens whenever he becomes king. But he does have big plans, I think. And I think, Fuzzy Puppet, I've just answered your question about Charles staying in Clarence House or moving into Buckingham Palace. Susan says, do you think Prince Charles will really become king? Yes, that it has to happen. And would that make Camilla Queen Consort? Yes, again it would. By law, by British UK law, the wife of a king is a Queen Consort. So unless that law is changed, which it hasn't been, there's been no debates on it, there's been no motions put into action, she will be Queen Consort. Jamie says, can anyone get custom clothes off that designer? Which designer? Do you mean, oh, you mean Angela Kelly? I don't know. I don't know if she does freelance. I think she probably has so much work with keeping up with the Queen's workload that I don't think she would do private custom clothes. And if she did, I would imagine they would be very expensive. But possibly when the Queen passes away, she may stay on and be Camilla's dressmaker. I could possibly see that. Or perhaps then she could start selling her own fashions, or maybe even retire. Loretta says, did the Duchess's presence make an impact on the community? And how is the area today? I have no idea how that has transpired 15 years later. I would love for her to do a catch-up. Wouldn't that be great if she could go back to those communities and see where those people are today? I would love that, but no, I'm afraid I do not know how those communities are today. Oh, and what about Camilla at the not Camilla, Catherine at the BAFTAs? Did you see the dress? It was an Alexander McQueen dress, and she looked absolutely stunning. I would have loved to see her wearing a tiara, though. Who else would have loved to see her wearing a tiara? But nevertheless, she stole the show, and she looked absolutely gorgeous, and I really loved watching it. When it came on the telly, I wish I could have filmed my reaction. I really do. In fact, I wished I could have filmed my reaction watching The Crown, because I'm sure you'd have all found it rather interesting, me blubbing the whole way through. Okay. Van Elgel says, I often wonder how Princes William and Harry came to terms with Camilla being their father's wife and part of the royal family. I think if you talk to many children of divorce, accepting their parents' new partner is always hard, and probably even more compounded at the loss of their own mother. So I'd imagine it would have been very difficult. But they've come to terms with it, they've accepted her, and they've moved on. It doesn't mean that they've forgotten their mother. It just means that they've moved on, because life moves on, and they know that Camilla makes their father very happy. And if they can move on, and they can accept her, I think we all have to do that too. Jamie says maybe there's a law preventing the Royal Collection shop from making clothes. I don't think there's a law. They can certainly sell merchandise. I think they can sell whatever they want. In fact, they did have something that I would have bought, but it was only for children. They did pajamas, nightwear, in like it was like a bearskin outfit. The sort of clothes that they wear when they do changing of the guard. But it was in infant sizes, and I just wish they'd done an adult one. I would have bought it. Fuzzy Puppet says, will Prince William automatically become Prince of Wales? Not automatically. It has to be conferred. But he will become, he will automatically inherit the Duchy of Cornwall. Or would he keep the Duke of Cambridge title? I think he'll probably be the Prince of Wales. I think that will be expected. So I can imagine that he would probably keep both titles, although he'd use the Prince of Wales. But he could certainly possess a dukedom as well as a Prince of Wales title. Some aristocrats have several titles. Susan says, take a look on Etsy for the knockoffs. Yes, I could. And Beck says, yes, a tiara. And James says, does Catherine have a designer like Angela Kelly? Not a specific one. I think she chooses, very much like Diana did, different designers, although she does favour Catherine Walker. And is Angela Kelly Irish, by the way? I'm not sure. I do have her book, but I don't think it mentioned her nationality. I'd have to look at a video and hear her speak. Steve says, I think Catherine should have worn a tiara to the BAFTAs. I agree completely. Perhaps the Halo Cartier tiara would have been quite good for the BAFTAs. And Jamie says, I saw the pyjamas too. I would love them. They really should make them in adult sizes. Yes, they're novelty, but I think they would sell. I really do. And Jamie says, I'm going to tweet the pic of the vase out of the stream. Van Al says, knowing that Camilla was in their father's life while married to Princess Diana must have had some sort of impact on the princes, although they have moved on. I agree. I'd imagine it would have been fairly difficult. But if that's in your life, if that's your life, if that's your experience of life, and you don't know any different, then I suppose that's your normal. It might not be other people's version of normal, but to them, that was their life. That was normal. You know, and they've had lots of things happen in their life that aren't normal, but they just carry on. It's their reality. And Jamie's saying Kelly is a very Irish name. I agree, but I'm not entirely sure. I would have to check. But I would love to hear her speak, and then we could perhaps discern whether she was Irish or not. Okay, so if you've just joined the chat, please leave a question in the comments section below. And as always, I will try to answer your questions. Jamie says, I saw a video of the Queen hugging Michelle Obama, and the video mentioned, but yes, I did see that. She kind of broke protocol, and she went up and gave the Queen a hug, and it was a really lovely moment because the Queen hugged back. And some people might expect the Queen to perhaps you know, pull back a little bit or be a bit more reserved, but the Queen just hugged her back. I suppose that's what you do if someone hugs you, you just hug them back. And I think it looked like the Queen really enjoyed the Michelle Obama hug. I thought it was a very special moment. Loretta says, I read an interview and Harry's ex-Chelsea said he had a lot of baggage. I think I read the same one. And she's saying that, or was it Cressida? One of them was saying that having the relationship with Harry has ruined their future chance of career. And yes, it comes with a lot of baggage, which is why I think those relationships didn't last, because, as I said before, he was going with very bohemian, free-spirited girls who probably wouldn't want to be tied down. And yes, he has said in the past he couldn't discuss his mother. And of course, that's why they are championing lots of mental health charities, because they know that speaking out about grief and mental health issues is very important. Fuzzy Puppet says, what is the advantage of having a title for non-senior royals? Any monetary gain? They don't receive money unless they are a working royal, unless they perform duties on behalf of the crown. And even then, it's not separate money to what the Queen gets, so they don't get a wage. The Duchy of Lancaster, which the monarch always possesses, the profits on that are used to fund any of the other minor royals. So if you are a working royal, you will be funded from the Duchy of Lancaster money. So basically the Queen pays for the work that you do, and you may get a grace and favour home. However, the Prince of Wales has the Duchy of Cornwall, and that pays for his family. So Camilla will be funded by Prince Charles, as will William and Harry and Catherine. And I hope that makes sense. But monarchies in Europe are salaried. They do receive, I think it's around £1 million a year each, but we don't do that in the UK. Jamie says, her hugging a guy called Paul Keaton and flipping out, is that true? I haven't heard that, but I will look for it. Steve says, just looked up Angela Kelly and it says she's from Liverpool and the daughter of a crane driver. So there you go. She is a Liverpudlian, as we say in the UK. And Doris says, Catherine looks great in everything she wears. I loved her red and black Carmen Sandiego style. Yes, and it might have been you that said about Carmen Sandiego, because I had that song in my head for ages. And I won't sing it now. But she did look really good, and she always looked stunning in red. Jamie says, what the heck is a pillbox? It's basically a box that you put pills in. So if you have medication and you're very posh or aristocratic, you would put your pills ready for the next morning into a pillbox, and then your butler or your waiter would bring you the pillbox and you would take your tablets from that. Jamie says, the aquamarine brooch confuses me. It splits in two and she wears it like two. Yes, she does. It's two separate aquamarines that were turned into brooches. So she can choose to wear one or both, or in different configurations. Kat says, both my parents have passed and I was an adult. It's a life changer, trust me. The princess will be carrying the loss forever. I completely agree. And Prince William is visiting Paris for the first time officially in the 20 years since his mother has passed. And I'm wondering whether there will be a private, perhaps flower laying ceremony, perhaps at the pillar that she crashed into. Perhaps visiting that might, put some demons to rest, although being very difficult. David J. Bliss says, which is my favourite royal residence? I would have to say, in London, I would probably want an apartment at Kensington Palace. Outside of London, I suppose my favourite would be Balmoral. I think I would really enjoy Balmoral. It's up in Scotland, and it's very secluded and private, and there's lots of outdoor walking that you could do. And then Doris says, by the way, have you seen Harry's ex in the Bye Bye Man movie? No, I haven't. And I don't tend to watch a lot of movies, but I might make an exception if she's in it. And Jamie says, Balmoral is simply beautiful. It is, I agree. And it's very romantic. It was built for Queen Victoria. Prince Albert designed it, and it's very tartan and Scottish, and I just think I would love it. Susan says a pillbox can be a yes, it can. You can get a pillbox hat as well. Jennifer says, I think it's a case of sour grapes for the past girlfriends for Prince Harry. I think they rejected his lifestyle, basically, and the freedom they would have to give up if they carried on their relationship. East Coast Artist says, I love to see William and Catherine together as a couple. They seem so happy. I agree. And Steve says, I've been to Sandringham, and that's very nice. I have seen videos that people have posted of their trip to Sandringham, and it does indeed look a tremendously great place to visit. Fuzzy Puppet says, I hear a lot about Balmoral, but what about Holyrood? How is that palace used now? Holyrood is the Scottish official residence of the monarchy in Scotland. The Queen uses it, I think she stays for about a week towards the start of her holiday in Balmoral. And I think it's called Holyrood Week. And she stays there for a week, and she does some investitures where she gives people MBEs or knighthoods or that kind of thing. And then she doesn't really have to go there for another whole year, but it is used by the royals when they are up in Scotland for that very brief time, and then they move on to Balmoral. And Jamie's laughing about the thought of a hat to keep your pills in. David says, have you ever seen the video of Princess Alice talking about visiting Queen Victoria? I'm not sure if I have. I have a vague recollection. And you're saying she was the last one of her grandchildren to pass away. I think I have seen it a very long time ago, but that's one I need to re-watch, definitely. The letter says, is Earl Spencer doing anything to commemorate the 20th anniversary? Yes, he has his own, I think, is it a concert, or he has something, and I did do a video on exactly what he's doing. There's some sort of exhibition he's got in place. He's doing up the island and grounds, so he is making an effort. I think a lot of people are still commenting on the Princess Diana burial island video I did, so that work should be well underway now. Steve says, if Scotland ever gained independence, what would the impact on the Queen be? They basically, on the run-up to the referendum, said that they would keep the Queen. But instead of being the Queen of the United Kingdom, she would be the Queen of the rest of Great Britain and the Queen of Scotland. So they wanted to still keep the Queen. East Coast Artist is saying Holyrood is considered haunted. And Jamie said, did you see Camilla dancing? I did, and she was dancing with a royal reporter. But I think she enjoyed it. It may have looked awkward, but I think that she enjoyed it. Beck says, chose your favourite royal brooch for your screensaver. Yes, you could. You could choose it. Also, I didn't see your question, actually. Jamie says, my screensaver has been St Edward's Crown for the last week. What's it now? Yes, I think the flower brooch, the flower basket brooch, or any of the brooches that I've bought so far. So Queen Victoria's bow brooch, the flower basket, the Canadian maple leaf, the bow brooch, the flower basket. Oh, or the star. The star. How did I forget the star? It's gorgeous. But the star came in a massive box. In fact, I didn't comment on the box. It was a huge box. I think they could have perhaps packaged it in a smaller box, but or the star one. So perhaps you could choose one of your favourite of the brooches that I've purchased, and you could use that as your screensaver. Okay, so If you have any more questions, please let me know and type them in the chat box below. Okay, Steve, yes, it was the star. I don't know how that slipped my mind. I think I have my mind on what I want to get next. I really want to do another shopping haul video. I loved opening them. Jamie says, I'm going to put a pic of her wearing my favourite brooch. There you go. That seems a really good choice. And I'm really bummed I didn't bring my phone in, so I can't check what's been put on Twitter. I really want to see the cake as well. Chelsea says she likes the star one. Well, I'm going to probably wear, for next week, I'm probably going to wear the second favourite choice, which I think was the star. I think the star was the second favourite choice. Or was it the maple leaf? You know what, I'm going to have to go and recount. But whichever one came second, that's what I'm probably going to wear next week. Or maybe you could actually comment on this video which brooch you would like me to wear for next week's live chat. Okay, Beck's having to take the kids to surf club, so goodbye Beck, and I hope you have a really good week. And Doris loved the Canadian leaf. And Kat says, do you know anything about the medals, well, the honours that the Queen passes out, like the OB? Yes, I do know lots about them. Which ones do you want to know about? They're basically orders of chivalry, and you kind of start with a knighthood, which is the one where she does the sword and she knights people, and they can use the title of Sir or Dame. And there's different sort of variations of it, like Dame Commander, or there's different ones. There's an OBE, an Order of the British Empire, an MBE, a Member of the British Empire. And there's quite a few of them. Then there's orders that she can give out personally. There's military orders. So there's lots of different ones that she can give out. And I may do a video on that to explain them all, because it can be fairly complicated to just talk about. But there are lots. The Queen doesn't dish them out herself, in terms of she doesn't decide who gets it. But most of them are appointed by the government. So there's the Queen's birthday honours list and the New Year's honours list, where the announcements are made about who's got what, but they aren't the Queen's choices. They are recommendations by the government. But the Queen also has things in her personal gift that she can give out to faithful servants or even family. Jamie says, can you tell the Queen's real smiles from her fake ones? I think so. I think sometimes she can put on a smile, but then sometimes when she beams, when she's beaming, that's a genuine smile. Steve would like me to wear the star next week. Fuzzy Puppet says, Catherine seems so important now to the royal family. Do you have a sense she is closest to the family besides Harry? And you vote for the bow brooch. I don't think she's closest. I just think she's seen certainly as an asset. And I think she's been fairly, quiet, and she's towed the line. She's been very compliant. She does her royal duties. I would still like to see her increasing her royal duties, which I think she will this year. But I think she's considered to be an asset to the royal family. And of course, they're treating her a lot differently than they did with Diana. Van Al Girl says the Canadian maple leaf. A lot of people saying the maple leaf. Okay. I will wait, and I will count up and tot up all the answers from the people watching on Catch Up as well. So let me know which one you think. Susan's off, so goodbye or ciao, Susan. And you're still waiting for, Jamie's waiting for his sapphire Jubilee coin. The Queen was born in London, in Bruton Street, I do believe. But the property is no longer there now. it was bulldozed down, and there is, I think, a hotel or something on the site. Jamie wants the star and Susan the bow brooch. And Aquila likes the basket, which I'm wearing there. And the basket is very sparkly. I'm not sure if you can see the sparkle, but it is very sparkly. Okay, so I'm going to end the live chat now. If you've missed any of it, you can always watch it on catch up. And I will be here next week live at 10 o'clock GMT. So please don't miss it. And I'm amazed with this chat how many comments we've had. I couldn't keep up at one point. It was truly amazing, and I'm really pleased that people are joining us. Chelsea's saying do a poll on Twitter. Which one for the next chat? I will have to figure out how to do polls on Twitter, but I will have a go. And I'm off now to put this video up onto the internet so you can all watch it on catch up. And I'm going to check Twitter. I want to see the cake. The wedding cake, Jason's wedding cake that he's got at his hotel. So everyone please join me on the Facebook, Royal Reviewer on Facebook, Royal Reviewer on Twitter, and keep watching the videos. I love making the videos for you, and I'm really pleased that you comment and you watch them. So thank you very much. And all that's left for me to say now is, from me in Shropshire, goodbye and have a great week.